world, one workplace at a time.
The great thing about Workplace Evolutionaries is it gets you to connect with people around the world who are focused on improving the workplace and helping it support work and the workers.
Sometimes we're talking to our clients and a lot of it's educating people along the way, but with this community together, we really can just share best practices and learn from each other and really grow our careers.
We had a variety of people on the team, so it wasn't all facilities managers or one group, which brought different perspectives in.
To me, there's nothing better than being surrounded by really positive, energetic experts, people whose workplace is a passion, a place to meet, collaborate, share ideas. It really is the best industry group I've ever been associated with.
It's exciting, exhilarating to be in sessions, hearing from other professionals about cutting edge things that are going on in workplace management, in change management, and workplace experience. So it's just an awesome place to be. Makes me feel welcome.
For me, as an architect, it's the knowledge that you get, and again, the resources to call upon somebody to help. If you have an issue that you have to deal with, and somebody's done it, you just have to reach out there, and you're going to get the support that you need. And it's again using the term community, hence the IFMA community.
It's a great thing to have the future of work, thinking about the people, thinking about the way of work, having not only the workplace, but also thinking about the people, the technology. We are bringing the WE Hub to Belgium in the near future, and I think this will be a good opportunity to get FM even more on the map.
What can I say? The Workplace Evolutionaries is the community that I most enjoy. It's the place where I get the latest trends, the technologies, the culture, the change management. It's happening at WE.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Really excited to be here. I think the human brain starts working the moment you're born and never stops until the day you are asked to speak up in public. This is not really one of those moments. I think it's a little easier because I cannot see any one of you in the audience. It's like speaking to myself. So let me make an attempt. Hi again, I'm Partha. I'm a workplace strategist. But this is not really about me, so we'll not get into that. This is about something far more important than me. It's about hybrid models of work that everyone is talking about these days. This is a 4-part series of 10-minute talks brought to you by Workplace Evolutionaries, or we as you like to call it. These talks touch upon four different yet very crucial aspects of hybrid models of work that leaders must keep in mind when they're setting up such models. They are action-oriented, and we hope that they will give you a framework of how to do it. I think God gave us brains to solve our problems, but I think we use it to create more problems for ourselves, and we invented webinars. So we decided to try a different format. The speaker speaks for about 10 minutes, and that is followed by about 15 minutes of Q&A over chat. You can interact via chat. So as soon as questions come to your mind, I encourage you to start typing in those questions in the chat box. You can do that even now, but of course we will answer that once the speaker completes the presentation. Our speaker today is Chris Hood. Thanks, Chris, for joining us. Chris is on the advisory board of WE and has been instrumental in setting up WE itself. Chris is a director of consulting at Advanced Workplace Associates, London, and is one of the pioneers of new ways of working, having led HP's very early initiatives in the field of activity-based working and agile working. Interestingly, he studied architecture, but soon moved away, somewhat like I did, from an architect's traditional focus on buildings as structures and towards a deeper understanding of the usefulness of workplace design towards those that they serve, especially the business world. Now, in more ways than one, Chris has been part of the very inception and origins of terms that we use nowadays, like workplace strategy and workplace transformation. Chris loves the outdoors and his family, and not many years ago, Chris actually climbed Mount Kilimanjaro with his son Ben and daughter Lizzie. Chris is going to talk about what happens to company culture when one adopts hybrid models of work. Thanks for joining us today, Chris. Over to you.
Patti, thank you for that. It's a great pleasure for me to talk to you all in India on the subject of culture and the workplace. And why is it that we as sort of workplace professionals are even thinking about culture? What is it about the behaviors of people, for example, that should be bothering or concerning people who are primarily focused on physical workplaces? Well, I think we're beginning to understand now clearly that the workplace is more than just a physical building. It's the whole set of holistic considerations that go into driving our understanding of how people work together. So it involves many things. It involves obviously things like technology. It involves policies and practices and HR. And fundamentally, it involves the way that people behave and operate in that space. And, we call that culture. And I think if you look at the guardians of culture in organizations, it's pretty interesting to think about that, because HR could be well involved in that, leadership could be involved, but actually culture is a coming together, it's an integration of a lot of different things, of physical space, of technology, of practices, of business processes. And if you think about the world that we live in as workplace professionals, we find ourselves integrating a lot. Now, typically that integration has to do with bringing architects and contractors and furniture suppliers and technical equipment installers all together and integrating that into a life of project. But it is integration. We're used to it and we do a good job of it. So why not add additional, components to that integration? Spread it wider, spread the net wider, start thinking of behaviors, start thinking of business practices and so on. And that way we begin to get a holistic solution to this notion of workplace, the employee experience, business outcomes and so on. So let's just have a look at culture for a moment. Culture is a vibe. It's something you can't see. It's something that's around you and it sort of feels the way it does. You feel good in a certain culture where maybe not so good in another one. It has to do with how people are treated. It has to do with the fundamentals of the business itself. What is the business of the business? And is that something that generates a sort of good feeling about the company, about the culture, about the behaviors within that organization? And it's like the air that surrounds you. We're all happy when we are members of a celebrated culture, when the things that we do, when we talk to others about it, the pride of our company, people feel good when they can say, I belong to such and such a company, because the reputation is good. They're known for fair and ethical business practices. They're known for great products. That all sort of begins to draw this picture together of culture. And if you look at a company like Patagonia, for instance, which has an amazingly strong culture, but it also has a very ethical, sincere kind of way of both doing business and what its business is. And to the extent that it dropped parts of its product line because they found they were really sort of not helpful to the environment, it says a lot about a company that it can do something like that. So I think let's just sort of dig into the subject a little bit. So what are some good examples of company culture? Company culture is when people are valued, when the company is viewed positively, as I said before. I think it's important to belong to a company that you feel proud of. It causes you to generate more enthusiasm, to work harder, to sort of get excited about what the company does and your contribution to it. In great cultures, people are welcomed members of teams. They're appreciated. The company works fundamentally with teams interacting together to pursue their business. A great culture involves diversity and inclusion. So that means a wide range of perspectives from a wide range of cultures with different views on things, and that those different views are reflected and incorporated into the way solutions are derived in those organizations. We want the ability to learn new things. So inquisitiveness is something that's highly valued and demonstrable in great cultures. Managers are not control freaks. They are mentors. They are advisors. And so in a minute, we're just going to talk about culture and what can we do to sort of move from perhaps a command and control to a trusted environment. So the role of managers in culture is really important. Good cultures demonstrate a sort of healthy interest in people's lives, in their mental health, their physical health, their wellness, and they provide things at work. Imagine the notion of creating a workplace where people are actually better off health-wise when they left the office than when they arrived in the morning. That is a sign of a great culture, when people think like that. People communicate with each other. They are very good at talking to each other. They communicate openly, honestly, transparently. And again, these are all part of the overall workplace experience and what organizations should be striving to achieve. People aren't afraid. They're not afraid of their bosses. They like being at work. They feel their work is valued. And there's no war for talent. And the reason for that is because they're known, they have great jobs, people are well looked after, they're respected, and therefore they don't struggle to attract people to their organization. So attrition is low, obviously. And they're constantly changing. They're thinking about how to do things better. They're thinking about how they can improve the lots of their employees. So change is not a problem, it's actually an opportunity. People embrace it, they move with it, and they move on with it. So let's, as we think about how that applies to workplace, how it applies to our roles within workplace, what are the things that we're thinking about? We've been through a COVID experience where nobody had a choice in this thing. People went home and they had to be trusted. And what's interesting to think about the post-COVID world is, will that trust sustain? Are we now at a new level of understanding and opportunity seeking that comes from this? So think about just the measure of trust. In the past, there was always this sort of concern that if you couldn't see people, they would not be working hard. They wouldn't be doing things in the way they had done in the office. And let's think about that. What really matters? What really matters is outcomes, business outcomes, at least from the company's perspective. So think about how that can be assessed. And these are independent of COVID. The idea is that if you can measure business outcomes, it doesn't matter what people are doing when. What matters is what they produced in a timely manner and what the quality of that product is. So I think we need to go back to upping our skills as leaders and managers around measuring performance, so that we, at that point, where one works becomes not important at all, unless we're concerned about how groups of people react together. And that's important. And I think we're all now begin to see, and we will continue to see as we come back to the office, that time together will sustain and build the culture of the organization, for sure. It helps when you have those small moments together, the little exchanges. But it isn't necessary all the time. And I think we're all going to be set to try and achieve that right balance of changing our work lives, maybe working from home some of the time, less commuting, less strain, a little bit more ability to help out at home or fill in gaps in people's schedules. A lot of positives there, a lot of positives for the environment as well as the individual, and frankly the organization. So, we need to think about how people react face to face, and we need to think about how people react remotely. And the culture is a combination of both of those things. I mean, let's face it, people in many, many cases were working remotely, either on business trips or from home or from other sites anyway. What's happened is we've formalized that process over the last few months. We've actually shown that it can and does work, and that when we return to the office, we can strengthen the culture, and we can use the experience that we've been through over the last 12 months, 15 months, to actually inform and sort of re-strengthen, if you like, that company culture that we have. So think about, be involved in culture, think about it. It's really important for making an organization successful. It's a very strategic kind of conversation, and therefore as workplace and property professionals, we actually have to get quite good at trying to understand the issues and look at ways that the work that we do can supplement and improve or enable, if you like, the culture. Can we allow people to meet? Can we create social spaces for them to connect? Can we sort of connect people face to face and virtually successfully at the same time? These are all things that will reinforce and promote the culture of the organization. So have a good chat about it now. Think about these things, and good luck with this. This is really important work, and I wish you all the best of luck with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. I was listening to you like this, and I almost forgot that I have to come back here. Very pertinent points there. You spoke about the culture, and I think there was a comment as well from Kavita there. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put in your questions if you have any. And she also mentioned, and I think that you spoke about the culture where people are better off health-wise when they left the office than they were when they arrived in the morning. I think beautiful. I wish every organization thinks like that. You also spoke about the importance of good communication as a sign of great culture, and I'd like to put that theory to test now. Let's see if our audience actually communicates to us. So you see the chat box below, so please type in your questions there. We want to keep this interactive. Now, while we wait for those comments and questions, I must tell you that I became a workplace strategist by picking up things on the go, learning on projects and learning from clients. And that learning never stops. Unfortunately, neither me nor Chris had access to any professional course about workplace strategy. Now, workplace management as a science or profession is very, very big today, very sadly due to the virus. And it's only going to get bigger, and the workplace experience is increasingly being looked upon by business leaders as a crucial tool in the battle to recruit, to retain, and energize employees who are critical for enterprise success. The good news is that we offer the program called the Workplace Strategy and Leadership Program, or WSL as we like to call it. This is the world's first and only program that is designed for business leaders like you. The program is designed to develop skills and strengthen, strategic alignment to the business goals and optimize the value of your work. And it's relevant to all industry sectors, especially for workplace strategists, designers, facility managers, program managers, project managers, real estate professionals. And it's been very well received in the US and Europe, and it is helping business leaders not only upskill themselves, but also add real value to their organizations. But this is now being introduced to India, and that's why I'm sorry it took that 1 minute to introduce this. And of course, when things are brought into India, the big question is, okay, how much does it cost? Do we get a discount in India? Yes, indeed, you do. And that has been worked out, and we welcome all organizations in India to nominate batches of leaders and managers to take this course. So if you're interested, and I hope you'll be, please make a note of this URL, which I'll try and bring here. Okay, so I'll just try and give you a URL where you can actually express your interest, and we'll get back to you with all the discounts and all those discounts. Okay, so let's see if we have any questions and bring Chris back online. Okay.
So we've got one question there on, does culture have anything to do with space?
There it is.
Yep, and the answer is yes, of course. An example might be an articulation of the culture of the organization. So if you were a command and control organization, you might want to represent the hierarchy in very sort of fixed ways where there was clearly a sense of entitlement and so on. I think today we've recognized that that kind of environment is not that attractive to many people. So I think we're seeing a breaking down of the barriers between people, a sense of challenging hierarchy, a sense of a flatter organization where anyone of any level is encouraged and able to talk to others in their organization, and the space facilitates that. I think, again, if you come back to employee experience, what one is able to connect employee experience to culture. So it talks about the services that are available. It talks about how an organization looks after its people, both in terms of spatial terms and service terms. I think the very sort of nature of the office, is it whimsical? Is it amusing? Is it, attractive? These are all things that say a great deal about how the organization looks after its people, how it thinks about life in general, and maybe the articulation of the mission of the organization and how it does that. Space has an incredible role to play in bringing all these things to life and reminding people on a sort of constant basis about what they're all about.
Thanks, Chris. There's another question here, if you can see on the screen. But I mean, you mentioned command and culture and the shift to a more trusted environment. And in Asia, there are a lot of legacy organizations where we are stuck to legacy practices. Can you see that questions? How do you overcome this?
Yeah, I can see some questions. So let's see. Do you have some tips on creating more awareness for company culture?
What you see on the screen just now, can you respond to that, Chris?
Oh, okay. I'm currently based in Asia, and there still seems to be fear among leaders. I think it doesn't mean that everybody in Asia is doing that. And I think, when you're moving and evolving as a country, for example, because I've worked in Asia a lot as well, one has to sort of lead by example. And I think there are companies, organizations who, frankly, in every country, who are doing a good job of breaking tradition with projecting and trying new ways of doing things. And one only has to follow how that is done and sort of be able to tell the story of how they're succeeding and why they're succeeding. So I think benchmarking is probably the wrong word, but I think tracking successes of other organizations who in your particular culture have done things differently and have succeeded is probably a good way to start, because people are always looking for proof points. And I think it's it's wrong to say, no, we don't think like that. I mean, believe me, in my career, I've had lots of people tell me, no, that's not us. We can't do that. And, 10 years later, they're actually in a completely different place. So resistance, change is perfectly normal. But I think we need to sort of marshal the forces of experience and knowledge of what others are doing to help us, sort of combat closed minds.
We promised to close this in half an hour. So questions are coming, quick and fast. So there's another question: how do you ensure employees feel connected and engaged with their employees and the brand in a hybrid work model?
So, how do they feel connected and engaged? Well, I think one of the things that happened within many organizations during COVID was that actually people managers spent more time connecting with their employees to make sure they were okay, to actually make sure that they knew what they were supposed to be doing, that their work was reviewed, that they were, their conditions at home were working out okay and they were being looked after. So I think the process kind of started there. And I think many teams kind of benefited from that. What will be interesting when we emerge from that is to see whether that same care and concern still exists. And, how do we use face-to-face interaction and connection to reinforce the bonds that were made? I think it's what's interesting to do is to contemplate the number of people, and there are a lot of them out there who've joined companies in the last 15 months and never been to their offices. They're actually sitting at home connecting virtually. So the only people they know are through a computer screen or a telephone. So I think I think it will be interesting to see, the quality of the connections that's made. But to the point I made in my little chat there, it doesn't need to be all the time. I think we need to celebrate and construct togetherness and leverage it for all it's worth. Enjoy being together. It's those little moments I described that actually help build the culture and help build the affinity to organizations. But it's not a full-time basis. Okay?
Yeah, Chris, there are a couple of more questions, but I had a question. I'm sure I have a right to ask you questions as well. And this is today's Times of India, and what you see here is, about the UN report which came out yesterday. I don't know if it's big in the UK, but, we only see about, read about COVID and politics, but for the first time we're reading about this. I'm sure you've read this report. How do you get this into the culture of people in organizations?
Yeah, I haven't read the report simply because it's, I think, something like 3,700 pages, and it was produced yesterday. So I haven't had a chance to, I've downloaded it, and it's 200 megs. But I mean, that aside, this is an important message for all of us. I mean, no matter what country we live in, we are all sharing this challenge of climate change. And frankly, culture is the thing that's going to solve it. Government mandates will, help. It will support. Company edicts or company policy will, again, support and drive. But it actually comes down to us as individuals really wanting to, actually needing to address this problem. So that it governs behaviors, it governs the way we think about things. This could not be a clearer sort of opportunity or demonstration of where culture is so important. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and I think we're running out of time very quickly, but we can go on. But I think it's also pertinent to mention that you can now become a WE member and get invites to exclusive membership events. So you see that link on the other side, that link on your screen. So you can actually please make a note of this and write in there. We'll send you all the details about how to join the workplace management program as well as WE membership. And it takes just about 20 seconds. And we have WE hubs across the globe. So we're introducing a WE hub in India also now. We want to make it stronger. We need your participation. This is about co-creation. So if you have an idea to do anything around workplace management, future of work, please write to us. And we will be more than happy to, work with you. Something or the other is always happening at WE across the globe. And there's someone who actually keeps track of this all the time. And she's here with us, Katie. Katie, hi, Katie. She's from Sweden. Thanks for joining us. She's a workplace strategist in other life besides B. And as you know, this is a 4-part series of 10-minute talks, followed by about 10 minutes of Q&A. So completing the 4 will actually get a certificate. And Katie will be doing the next one, which is on the 31st of August, and talking about crafting the right workplace experience when adopting hybrid work. So hi again, Katie. How's the weather in Sweden today?
Well, it's perfect today. Finally, some sunshine again, and I'm so looking forward to talk to you soon. And we will be focusing on what's the essentials we need to have in place to really create great workplace experience.
And some of the things that you heard and the questions that you heard, Katie, do you kind of resonate with this the way life is in Sweden, or do you think India is a completely different market? Things are different as far as the workplace is
becoming more and more alike globally. Of course, there are cultural differences, but there are also lots of things that is common for all of us. And I think especially when it comes to like the core and the essentials, then of course we need to tailor the experience and the culture to fit our needs and our company. But if there is a lot in the core and the essentials that is the same tools that we can use.
Okay, sure. We look forward to your talk, Katie, on the 31st. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll get an entire half an hour with you on that day. Bye for now.
Bye, thank you.
Okay, we've nearly come to the end of this. I just realized that, we're doing some new things here. We can actually add music also, so I've added the music in the end. Should have done it in the beginning, make it a little this thing. But before we go, we must admit that this would not have been possible without the support of IFMA in India and the wonderful Basu and Rashmi there, and of course Mahinder Singh. He was supposed to join us today, but unfortunately he could not join us. Thank you, Mahinder, for helping us do this. And I'd like you to request you to register for the next by Katie, which is on the 31st. You may have already received the link, and if you do not have it, you see the link on your screen just now. Please make a note of this and join us on the 31st. So we hope you like this. Send us your feedback, whatever it is, good, bad, so that we can improve. Thanks everyone for joining us this afternoon in fairly large numbers, given the times. And bye for now. Thanks a lot, Chris.
Thank you. Bye-bye.